Hello, welcome to today's live stream. I don't know what's going on with my hair there, but I'm gonna there we go, there we go. I'm Rebecca, the founder of Hike Like a Woman. I started Hike Like a Woman like a decade ago. It started as a mommy blog, and now it is evolved into a full-blown adventure travel company. So today I want to just pop on very briefly, and I want to share with you some experiences that I had on our recent group trip to Patagonia, Argentina. And then I want to give you a little update about some of the stuff that's going on behind the scenes here and share with you our 2026 trips and then where we're thinking about going on adventures in 2027. It's hard to think 2 years in advance, but I try to schedule our trips 1 year in advance. So you have plenty of time to request time off work, budget, save, all those things. So that is what we're going to talk about today. So let's talk about Patagonia. I just got back from Patagonia a couple weeks ago. This is the group that traveled to Patagonia with me. I think what is neat here is if you look at that picture of all of our trip participants, you can see right by their picture, I wrote what other Hike Like a Woman trips they have been on with me. So you see several of those women have been to Kilimanjaro with me. Several did backpacking trips in Wyoming here with me. Couple went to Yellowstone, Costa Rica, Peru. So here at Hike Like a Woman, I don't want to brag, but we have about a 50% return rate, meaning that 50% of the women who join me for their first Hike Like a Woman trip come back for a second trip, a third trip, a fourth trip, even a fifth trip. And usually when those 50% come back, 40% of them bring a friend with them the next time they return to a Hike Like a Woman trip. And of all the women that were with me in Patagonia a couple weeks ago, 5 have trips booked for 2026. And 2 of those 5 have 2 or more trips booked with Hike Like a Woman in 2026. So I just think that shows what kind of community we're trying to build here at Hike Like a Woman. We want to build a community of women who support and encourage each other. If they're on an international trip like one to Patagonia or Kilimanjaro, or even if they're just friends who meet on a Hike Like a Woman trip and realize they live an hour away from each other and now they get together often to go hiking and spend time together. So I just wanted to share this picture because I thought it was kind of a neat representation of Hike Like a Woman and most of our trips. On our Patagonia trip, I also want to mention that our oldest hiker was 66 years old and our youngest hiker was 33 years old. So whenever I talk to someone about marketing, like how do you market Hike Like a Woman trips? I always get asked, like, what's the average age of your trip participant? And the truth is, it's everywhere. We run the decades of generations between us. And I think that's just something that's really interesting, especially when people are concerned about being able to keep up on a trip or fitness, all those things. You can see we're a diverse group there. Let's go to my next slide here. So I get asked a lot, how do I choose destinations? How do we choose where we're going to lead trips? And Patagonia is one of those, when people think about trekking in Patagonia, they often think about 2 major trips, the O route or the W route. But I kind of put this trip together a little differently because I wanted to sleep in a hotel. I wanted to eat delicious food. I didn't necessarily want it to be camping, but I wanted to go on some of these big, huge hikes that you still hear about. You can see the Fitzroy Mountains in the background there. You can see glacier trekking. You can see the Via Ferrata. You can see some steak because the food is delicious in Argentina. So I wanted to put together a trip that really had that showcased a lot of the fun adventures that there are to do in Patagonia. So what I'm trying to tell you right now is if you haven't scheduled an adventure trip to Patagonia, you should. I don't know when we're going to go there again, but it was the most incredible adventure destinations. In fact, during the trip, several of us were like, we have to come back. We have to come back. We have to bring our husbands. We have to bring our children. Our kids would have so much fun on this Via Ferrata. We would have so much fun on a glacier trek with our partners and with our spouses. So it's one of those destinations where I instantly got on the plane and started thinking about how can I get back to Patagonia, because it's pretty cool. Has anybody out there traveled to this part of Patagonia before? We were on the Argentina side. But man, Argentina, it's awesome. I actually learned a lot about Patagonia, Argentina, and some culture and customs when I was in Patagonia this trip. And I'd been to Argentina before, but I hadn't been to Patagonia. And one thing that I learned that I think is going to be really fascinating, and that I think a lot of people who follow us here at Hike Like Woman are going to really appreciate, is that of all the guides we had in Patagonia, and we had several, we had horseback riding guides, Via Ferrata guides, our trekking guides. You can see Pilar here, who was our main guide, who was with us the entire week. We had glacier trekking guides. So of all of those guides, 4 out of the 5 were women. And I have actually never led a trip in any country where I have seen so many women who are outdoor adventure guides in one area. It was really special for me to see, because here in the United States, I've been a guide and I've been in the outdoor industry for a long time. And I've often felt like there's just not a lot of support or community surrounding women who are in the outdoor industry, women who have chosen to be a guide as a professional career. And so I was really excited to see this strong representation of women who are mountain adventure tour guides in Patagonia. And I think that was just really remarkable. You can see Mika here. Mika spent 3 days trekking with us. She is like a mountain goat. She is strong, capable. I felt very safe with her as our guide, even though we were in some pretty extreme conditions. And then you can see Pili there, who was just like our main guide. She just brought this positive energy. She's strong, vibrant. Both of these women are mothers. And so they were balancing their career as guides with their families, which I also thought was remarkable. And maybe we should make that something normal to do here in the United States. Maybe we should make guiding not just a seasonal thing, but a real professional career. So I was very inspired by all of our female guides, but especially these 2 during our trip. And if you were with me in Patagonia, you know that these women became just really special to us and really part of our community. I also learned some interesting historical things that I didn't know about Argentina. There was lots of dinosaur bones. We were in an area that had a lot of dinosaurs. My 14-year-old is obsessed with dinosaurs. And so I learned a little bit about dinosaurs. I also learned that Butch Cassidy actually made it as far south as El Calafate, as Argentina, this region of Argentina where we were. And I live in Wyoming. There's a lot of Wild West history. Butch Cassidy was in my hometown, and he was also, thousands of miles. He made his way thousands of miles south to Argentina, which I thought was just fascinating. And the other thing that's really cool is I realized that there's a lot of kind of touristy spots of Argentina. Like we were in kind of a touristy area, right? But there's a lot more to Argentina to see, and some of these undiscovered destinations that tourists don't necessarily know about, places where tourists don't necessarily go. And so I was talking to our guides, and I'm really excited. Have actually even started putting together some ideas for itineraries for future Hike Like Woman trips that are going to allow us to really get off the beaten path and see and experience some of those more remote places in Argentina that are not necessarily super touristy. So just a sneak peek there of some stuff that's going on in the future, because I had such an amazing experience with those two guides. I want to keep coming back and keep leading trips to Patagonia in the future and giving them jobs and helping support them in their careers and helping to support their families, because that's what ethical tourism is, in my mind. Um, when I was in Patagonia, I just was reminded of this quote, and it says, "The world is big, and I want to have a good look at it before it gets dark." I think John Muir said that quote. I have not fact checked it yet, but to me, that's why it's important to lead these trips for women all over the world, because it's a big world. And I think when we see this big world, we learn so much about customs, cultures, people, new places, new ways of doing things. So after I finished cancer treatment, I had this really big shift in my life where before cancer, it was like I was really focused on like working really hard because I wanted to see all these places when I retired. And then I had cancer and I realized that the future's not a promise, the future's not a guarantee. So now I just want to see all the places because we don't know what the future brings, and it's a big world, and I intend to see it all and hopefully encourage you to get out there and see it all, whether it's with the Hike Like a Woman trip or another women's group. There's so many other women out there who lead amazing group trips, or maybe it's by yourself or with a friend or with your family. And I also want to just give you a sneak peek about the trips that we're leading here in 2026. You probably know this already, but if you don't, we're headed to Costa Rica in April, and that is very much an adventure trip. We're doing a little bit of rappelling. We're doing some whitewater rafting. We're doing some zip lining, a Tarzan swing, but we're also trying to add more of those cultural elements into this trip. So we'll be doing a local cooking class, some local yoga classes. We're going to have a cultural dinner with a group of local families in a very beautiful neighborhood in just outside of Turrialba, Costa Rica. So that is very much an adventure cultural trip. Our trips to the West Highland Way and 2 trips to Tour de Mont Blanc, those are all sold out. But if you want to get on the wait list, send me a DM and I can put you on the wait list for any of those trips. And then if you've joined us for a Hike Like Woman trip in the past, so backpacking trips with me here in Southeastern Wyoming, maybe you've come to some of our retreats here in Southeastern Wyoming, or you've done a trip in the US to some of our national parks or an international adventure, you're invited to join me for our alumni reunion. This is going to be August 9th. I think the date's wrong. Anyway, it's going to be the 9th through the 11th. Right here in Laramie, Wyoming, we have booked out an entire dude ranch. So we're going to be staying at a guest ranch and doing all sorts of fun activities, but that is by invite only because it's only available for trip participants. So next year is we have a full schedule. We have a lot going on, but I'm always looking towards the next year, so 2027, because I try to book our trips a whole year out. It takes a lot of planning. We've switched guiding companies, so it takes a whole year for me to put kind of our plan and our schedule together. And next month, so December 1st, I actually have a big survey that's going out to everybody. If you're on our newsletter list, if you're not on our newsletter list, you're going to get this survey and hopefully help us plan our 2027 season for guiding. And the goal with 2027 is that I've actually hired an employee to help me out and run some of those more domestic trips. So trips here in the United States that are kind of all ages, all abilities type trips. And then I'm going to take on the more rugged expedition style trips. So we're looking at maybe Iceland, headed back to Patagonia. Maybe we'll do a trip to Japan. I'm also thinking about Everest Base Camp. But we're gonna definitely increase our offerings in 2027, because what this community has shown me is that you're thirsty for adventure and you want more trips and more destinations. a little something for everyone. So stay tuned. This survey is going to be hitting your inbox here December 1st. We'll also talk about it all over social media so that you can fill out the survey and then get a discount for some trips that you book. Be first to get notified when trips opening, all that kind of stuff. So that's just a sneak peek of what's to come. And what you can see here at Hike Like a Woman. I am onboarding a new assistant, someone to help me out behind the scenes with some of the social media, things like that. We are rebuilding our website. So if you've taken a trip with me and you have a testimonial, send it my way. There's a lot going on. And then that survey is going to kind of end up the whole month of December. We'll do that survey January 1st when we get the results from that survey. Then we're going to start hiring guiding companies and putting plans in motion so that we can announce our 2027 trip schedule in enough time for you to plan and prepare to join us. So that is what is going on. I'm going to kind of lay low the next couple months and just focus on the survey and all the wrap up end of the year kind of tasks. And then in January, we'll go strong with another year of fantastic adventures. So if you were in Patagonia with me, thanks so much. That was just a really special trip, and every trip is special. But if you're interested in joining me for Costa Rica, we still have plenty of openings. And Kilimanjaro, I think I forgot to mention Kilimanjaro, but I still have plenty of openings for Kilimanjaro as well. I think we have 12 people booked for Kilimanjaro, and we can have up to 20. And there's two countries that have really stolen my heart lately, and it's definitely Tanzania and it's definitely Argentina. So that's all. I'll stop talking so you can move on with your day. But thanks for hopping on this live with me. Thanks for being part of the Hike Like Women community. I'll try to hop on every Friday and do a live stream if it fits with my schedule, just because it's nice to interact with you and see you all. And I see Stacy in there. Yes, it was a John Muir quote. Perfect. It's a good one, right? And Amanda's in the comments. Amanda's a guide in Maine, and we're actually working on some sort of thing that we're going to put on the schedule. That's going to be amazing. So Amanda, you're awesome. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend, y'all. And I will see you next time. Cheers.